1984 was a legendary year for movies. Films like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, The Karate Kid, Gremlins, Purple Rain, Splash, and Footloose are just a few of the legendary titles that were released. Many assume that the biggest film of the year was Ghostbusters, given it was one of the highest-grossing films of the decade and lived on through merchandise and television deals. Yet the biggest movie of the year was another comedy featuring a Saturday Night Live alumnus, Beverly Hills Cop. Starring Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop was a box office sensation from the moment it was released on December 5, 1984. It had strong reviews from critics, earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Screenplay, and stayed number 1 at the box office for an impressive 13 weeks straight. By the end, it grossed $234 million at the domestic box office. Adjusted for inflation, it is still the highest-grossing R-rated comedy with a box office gross that today would equal $730.7 million. Now, 40 years later, Eddie Murphy returns to the role of Axel Foley with Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F., debuting on Netflix. What exactly made the first film such a big hit? Beverly Hills Cop is hilarious. The most obvious thing about Beverly Hills Cop that made it a hit was the movie is incredibly funny. When a film is funny, audiences want to keep seeing it to laugh but also share the movie with someone who hasn't seen it yet so they can be in on the joke. Combine that with a lead role played by comedian Eddie Murphy, it is difficult for Beverly Hills Cop not to be a laugh riot. Like many beloved films from the 1980s, Beverly Hills Cop is a very political film that speaks to the time. While some present-day moviegoers might freak out at the sheer mention of a movie having politics or an agenda and long for the films of the 1980s, there is a good chance that they would not like many of their favorite movies if they were released today. Beverly Hills Cop is inherently a movie about class, with Eddie Murphy's character Axel Foley having a good laugh at the massive decadence of Beverly Hills when contrasted with his Detroit roots. He looks to bring down a wealthy Beverly Hills millionaire to show he is not above the law, no matter how rich he is. The movie is filled with politically charged racial humor as well. Eddie Murphy's character, a black cop, being arrested by the Beverly Hills Police Department even though he was the one who was thrown through a window, is a clear mockery of how African American individuals are profiled by the police. Even in 1984, this was an obvious problem. There is also the fact that he can lie his way into getting a hotel, making it look like the hotel made a mistake but won't accommodate his room due to the color of his skin, all played for laughs at how uncomfortable this accusation makes the white staff. The punchline is underlined when they tell him the bill for the room, $235 a night, and Axel Foley is so dumbfounded by the price he pauses for a solid 3 seconds before responding. Part of what makes Beverly Hills Cop so funny is that it takes what is a traditional action movie script and drops a comedic character into the story, acting somewhat as a virus in the story whose presence meshes with the established flow of the narrative that audiences expect. This formula would later be instrumental in making films like Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl or Guardians of the Galaxy smash hit films. This actually was not the original intent, and only became part of the movie due to the circumstance of hiring Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's movie star moment. It might be hard to fathom, but when Beverly Hills Cop opened, Eddie Murphy was only 23 years old, and he was already making a name for himself among audiences. He became an instant fan favorite on SNL since he was 19. He started gaining movie stardom in co-lead roles in 48 Hours and Trading Places. In 1983, his comedy special, Eddie Murphy Delirious, was making audiences laugh. By the time Beverly Hills Cop hit theaters, Murphy was a rising comedy star, and the film showcased his talent as both a comedic actor and a leading man. Murphy wasn't even supposed to be the lead of the film. The film was originally going to star Sylvester Stallone and be a more traditional actioner, but Stallone had major disagreements with the film's producer, Dom Simpson, regarding the movie's tone. Stallone dropped out 2 weeks before production began, and much of Stallone's plans for the films would be reworked into the 1986 film Cobra. Murphy joined the cast and helped add a lot of input into the script, including improving a lot of the film's dialogue. The script was not finished until the day before the cameras started rolling. What could have been a disaster turned out to be a blessing, as Eddie Murphy was the film's secret ingredient. A stellar release date: Beverly Hills Cop opened in December 1984. Most of the biggest movies from the year opened in the summer of 1984, but Beverly Hills Cop opting for a release date near the end of the year worked in its favor. It not only had the Christmas and holiday season to play through, but it could also take advantage of the slower movie months of January and February, which studios tended, and to an extent still do, see as dumping grounds for movies. Even the iconic film Witness, which opened on February 8, 1985, came in second to Beverly Hills Cop in its 10th week of release, while films like Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Gremlins, and Star Trek III: The Search for Spock were all competing with each other. Beverly Hills Cop had little to no competition, which made it the big-ticket item for moviegoers to see. It had plenty of strong buzz from audiences who found the movie hilarious, and the theme song became a smash hit. The music was heating up the charts. When a movie has a great soundtrack, it truly becomes an event. Just look at how Barbie was not just a box office hit, but Dua Lipa's Dance the Night Away dominated the summer of 2023, soon followed by Billie Eilish's Academy Award-winning song, What Was I Made For?, and Ryan Gosling's breakout hit, I'm Just Ken. Beverly Hills Cop was a similar phenomenon. The main theme, titled Axel F., is a simple electro-keyboard tune that was inescapable. The non-lyrical song ranked number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US and was even number 1 on US Hot Adult Contemporary and US Hot Dance Club playlists. Meanwhile, the Glenn Frey song, The Heat Is On, an original song recorded for the film that plays over the film's opening, also became a big hit, reaching the number 2 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in March 1985, 3 months after the movie opened. The song Neutron Dance by the band the Pointer Sisters debuted in 1983, but following its appearance in both the film Beverly Hills Cop and its placement on the soundtrack, it eventually reached the number 6 spot on the US Billboard Hot 100 and was used in the trailers for Beverly Hills Cop, Beverly Hills Cop 2, and recently in Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Beverly Hills Cop had a variety of factors that played into it being one of the biggest movies of not only the 1980s but of all time. With a hilarious story, made funnier thanks to star Eddie Murphy, a great release date, and a soundtrack people could not stop listening to, Beverly Hills Cop was, and remains to this day, an iconic movie. Now we can't wait for Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F.